Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar today. We're looking forward to getting started. So I will dive right in here. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining. My name is Jennie Lewis. I lead strategic service at Airship for North America, focused on workshops, reporting, managed services, as well as customer experience research for our brands verticals. Before we get started, I just wanted to throw out a couple of housekeeping items for you. First off, we'll send out a recording of the webinar to your email for folks who have registered. Secondly, we'll ask a couple of questions throughout the presentation, and we definitely want to hear from you. So you'll see a poll pop up on your screen. Please fill that out and participate with us. If you have questions throughout the webinar, there's a little panel on the screen for questions where you can enter those as we go, and we'll save time for Q&A at the end of the session. And as always, we want to hear from you on social, so please connect with us. Our LinkedIn profiles are up on the screen. Here with me today are Ramsey, Kail, and Nick Patrick. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hey everyone, my name is Nick Patrick. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Radar, which is the leading geofencing and location tracking platform.
Yeah, and I'm Ramsey, Kail. I lead the technical services team here at Airship. So my team works as a partner team with Jennie's team, and we're responsible for implementing and helping our customers use a lot of the strategies and features we'll be talking about today.
All right, so to set the stage on Radar, Radar is the leading geofencing platform. We help marketing, product, engineering, and operations teams increase engagement and improve operations with location. As you can see below, we're lucky enough to work with some of the best brands across retail, food and dining, digital marketplaces, travel, and we're powering location-based experiences for over 100 million end users. Under the increased engagement bucket, we enable smarter location-triggered messaging and on-premise app experiences powered by geofencing. We find that retailers and QSRs are thinking a lot about ways to drive loyalty program usage and on-premise app downloads using location. And for these types of use cases, we often integrate with best-in-class engagement and push platform like Airship. Under the improve operations bucket, we enable arrival detection for order ahead, visit detection for segmentation and attribution. And we find that retailers and QSRs are thinking a lot about ways to reduce wait times and increase staff efficiency with location. So we'll be talking a lot about this today.
And that's where Airship comes in. We focus on solving the complexity of mobile engagement by understanding and meeting the demands of today's consumers with tools designed for our new world of mobile. As we know from the last year, mobile usage has increased significantly. Airship partners with our customers to create messaging that understands information about behaviors and then responds with relevant content. So today we'll focus on trends and opportunities, really looking into what we see in the industry today. We'll also take a look at creating experiences that customers love. What are those moments and interactions that really add value? Then we'll take a look at questions about how to shape your strategy. And of course, we're going to save some time for Q&A at the end. Please feel free, again, add your questions in the Q&A section of the chat throughout the webinar. Let's dive in to see what we're seeing for brands today for store pickup. Buy online, pickup in store used to be a favorite convenience option for customers. It was definitely my personal favorite convenience option. But throughout the pandemic, this has really changed from a convenience option to a safety necessity. Store pickup of online orders grew by triple digits during the pandemic. And it probably comes as no surprise that 90% of brick and mortar retailers plan to offer buy online, pickup in store by the end of 2021. One of the key reasons is the shift in consumer expectations. Today's consumers are conditioned by our experiences, and we expect speed because of the evolution of two-day shipping and same-day delivery. Store pickup is a way to add even more value than that expedited shipping. It gives consumers a perception of items being in hand more quickly. Getting your items now is better than waiting for the delivery. Throughout the pandemic, store pickup has become a part of our routines. And of course, now that it's part of our routines, we're going to keep using it. It's also not just for retailers. Innovative companies are experimenting and emphasizing the strengths of digital order ahead. Some restaurants have even created digital make lines to ensure a smooth pickup process for online orders. And for those brands with brick and mortar stores, it's very valuable to get customers on site. When I go to a location for in-store pickup, it's very likely that I'll find another item to buy once I'm at the store. Consumers have displayed more brand hopping during the pandemic because of supply chain interruptions and just general disruption to everything. And then that led to previously preferred brands being deselected from their purchasing behavior. Getting consumers on site helps to reaffirm that engagement with the brand and then gives store associates the opportunity to deliver a positive customer experience. With in-store pickup, there's also the chance for consumers to check their items before departing. This reduces the risk of customer frustration from repeat trips or contacting customer service or even having to ship a return. And we'll move in here to our first poll question. So you should see a poll pop up on the screen. Definitely fill in and participate. We'd love to hear from you all. And Ramsey and Nick, I'm really curious about your experiences with in-store pickup. What's your favorite customer experience with this service?
Yeah, so I have a local example. We have a favorite Korean barbecue place here that has actually implemented a very well done SMS pickup campaign. And so my wife and I, as our occasional cheat, we'll go get some Korean barbecue and do the curbside pickup with them, and it's actually been very effectively done. So.
Yeah, one of my favorite breweries in Brooklyn has a curbside pickup offering, and definitely not location enabled. I would call it a digitally light experience. You have to sort of pull up out front, find the right parking space, track down their phone number and call them so they can run the order out. So it definitely got me thinking a lot about ways that location could be used to enhance the pickup experience.
That's awesome. It's almost like you could say it's the V1 of pickup experience, Nick.
I think that's right.
All right, so looks like a lot of folks have been using the in-store pickup for a while. 25% added just in the last year, and some who are planning to. And I love the it's complicated answer. So please put your questions in the chat. We really want to hear more about that. All right, Nick, I transfer over to you. I'd definitely like to hear more about location and how you create those experiences.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. So in this section, we're going to talk about what a great BOPIS experience looks like. One that obviously delivers a great end user experience, one that's seamless and convenient, and also drives business impact in the form of increased app engagement on premise, decreased wait times, and so on. So for brick and mortar customers, we broadly think about 3 buckets of use cases for location. The first is arrival detection for order ahead. This is using location to understand when a customer is on their way, approaching, or arrived for an order. And Radar can show live order status at ETAs on dashboards in store. In some cases, our customers are also using location to fire orders. So for example, start prepping an order when a customer is 5 minutes away. The second is on-premise app experiences. So this is unlocking features in store to increase on-premise app engagement, to encourage on-premise app downloads. And our customers are using geofencing to unlock loyalty features, payment features, and offers on-premise. The third bucket is smarter messaging. So this is using location to trigger and target push notifications to drive more app opens. And our customers are often using geofencing to buzz the phone in a customer's pocket when they visit a store or a restaurant. And all of these use cases have a messaging and engagement component. Typically, our customers use a best-in-class messaging and engagement platform like Airship to power that. And Radar has a turnkey server-side integration with Airship, so triggering messages and campaigns in Airship is really as simple as copying and pasting an API key and setting up some campaigns. So we wanted to bring a typical BOPIS implementation to life with Radar and Airship. Radar's trip tracking functionality powers the live location tracking and ETA portion of the implementation, and Airship powers the messaging and engagement portion. So Radar's trip tracking functionality lets you track an order and a trip to a store for order ahead. If you start a trip when a pickup starts, Radar will generate events like started trip or approaching trip destination, arrived at trip destination. We can send these events and live ETAs to Airship to trigger messaging, to in-store systems so staff can start prepping the order at the right time, and so on. And there are 3 steps to enable an integration like this. The first is using the Radar SDK or API to start a trip when an order is placed. Typically, this is done when a customer taps an I'm on my way button after placing an order, or when they otherwise initiate a pickup. The second step is sending live ETAs to in-store systems so staff can start prepping the order at the right time. And Radar has a turnkey out-of-the-box dashboard that can be installed in-store. Or we can also send these signals to existing in-store systems in the form of live ETAs through the API or events. And then finally, the last step is to trigger arrival messaging. This is really important. This might be sent to the customer to instruct them where to go when they arrive on premise. A message might be sent to in-store staff to instruct them to bring out the order. And again, Radar's integration with Airship makes it possible to easily trigger really robust arrival messaging right alongside your other campaigns and messaging logic that live in Airship.
Awesome. So it's important to note that a lot of the things that we're talking about don't just apply to restaurants or retail. They apply to other verticals as well. We can see these things applicable to banking and telehealth and other services industries, but really we're talking about a core set of concepts that enable a really good buy online, pick up in store, location enabled experience for your users. The first is really delivering personalized updates, right? So that the user is getting their information about their experience at the right time in the right place. The second is something we've seen is expanding into mobile wallet. Not every one of your users is going to install your app unless it's a requirement of working with your brand that they have the app. Not every user is going to install it. So mobile wallet enables another experience that users can have to get that information about location aware updates and things like that. The third, and Nick did an excellent job of going through this, is triggering notifications with pickup info when the customer is close to the store. So the idea is that you don't want them to have to fumble through the experience. It should be seamless as possible. And then the fourth one is having some sort of in-store chat, especially for curbside, where the user, the consumer, can talk to an in-store associate or a representative to have a more personalized, conversational experience rather than pushing a button and waiting for somebody to show up. And then definitely last but not least is this concept of ongoing communication with your consumers, right? So using mobile wallet to send relevant updates or even follow-up notifications through the app as it relates to surveys or add-on purchases. So one of the first areas we want to focus on is this concept of two-way chat, or as we call it at Airship, live chat. The idea that a consumer and an in-store associate can have a conversation enabled by the application so that they're able to exchange information, things like what space they're in or what color of vehicle they're driving. So it makes that experience a lot more seamless for the consumer. We like to say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, so a video is probably worth 1,000,000. So we have a video that we can show that kind of steps through what this process looks like. So in this example, we'll go through a typical buy online, pick up in store experience, as it would involve an in-app two-way chat or live chat. In this case, the user notifies the store that they're on their way. That initiates a two-way chat with the agent in the store, the in-store associate. The user, the consumer, is prompted to put in relevant information about their vehicle or whatever that is used to make sure that the item is picked up by the right person. And then the associate's able to actually have a conversation back with the user, so that the conversation feels like it's ongoing and there's not this wait necessarily on the user's side. After the pickup, it's also a really good time to initiate something like a survey or a promo for add-on purchases or repeat purchases, so that the user feels like it's all interconnected. And that's it. That's essentially what we're looking at with in-app or live chat between a user, a consumer, and an in-store associate. So the next piece that we kind of talked about is wallet. Again, not every user is necessarily going to install the application. So wallet is another, tangible thing that you can give your users to enable a much more seamless pickup experience. In this example, we're sending an SMS notification to the user. There's a link to install their specific wallet item, their specific pass that has all of the information about their purchase on it. You'll notice the QR code. One of the things that we've seen that I've experienced personally is when I get an email for a pickup and I have to go then find that email a week later to be able to actually pick up the item. I'm an inbox zero guy, so I don't keep things in my inbox unless I have to. So sometimes it takes a little fumbling to actually find the email with the order information to pick up the item. The nice thing about wallet items is that they can actually be location aware. So when the user gets to the store, it'll pop up with the notification. The user taps on the notification and it launches the wallet pass, creating a much more seamless pickup experience for the user. And then last, but definitely not least, is this concept of ongoing communication, both before and after the pickup. Most brands have a order confirmation experience where the user is told, thanks for the order, here's what you should expect with pickup. But some haven't really focused on the post-pickup experience. So that's something that we really see, brands looking to use our journeys experience to drive that, where a single event, such as a pickup, can actually drive a series of messages to the user based on their item. So in this example, somebody bought some shoes and we're following up with them about their purchase for those shoes, recommending additional add-on purchases. And then, even the potential to have like a survey or care instructions sent in this as well can really provide that good two-way communication with the user. So now we'll transition into our second polling question, which is my favorite one. What challenges has your brand experienced with implementing buy online pickup in store? Nick, I'll throw it to you first. What are some of the things that you've seen brands have to overcome with implementing pickup experience?
Yeah, Ramsey, two things that we see a lot. The first is really seamlessly bridging the digital and physical parts of the experience. This is something that we think a lot about at Radar, obviously. The second challenge that we see is cross-team coordination. Obviously, a lot of stakeholders involved in a successful BOPIS implementation, from engineering team to the product team to the operations team, the digital team, the marketing team, and even in-store teams. And so at Radar, we think a lot about ways to provide tools and insights for all those different teams.
Yeah, I think that I really agree with you, Nick, about the team bridging aspect of this, right? Like making sure that folks are working in coordination with the end goal of the consumer, of that end customer in mind. All right, looks like we've got some results in here. So communication and user engagement challenges. So, trying to get that messaging. I think a lot of the things that we're talking about today can help there, right? Like, how are we going to get those communications in the right timing? And I know we'll talk more about that in a moment. And in-store operations, yeah, in-store operations are a challenge, right? Like, how do we get store associates educated on the entire process and making sure that they are enabled to help the customers once they're on site?
I will say, based on those results, y'all came to the right webinar. So, all right. So now we're going to transition into, 5 questions to shape an effective strategy, right? We kind of talked about this in terms of challenges. Now we want to make sure we're asking the right questions on how to overcome those challenges. So the first area to kind of focus is making the business case, right? Most of you said that you didn't have a challenge with this, which is awesome. But for those that did, how do you build internal momentum behind the need for a buy online pickup in store solution? It really starts with convening the right team, right? Making sure you have the right people in the room discussing what needs to be part of an effective, great buy online pickup in store experience for your users. That's going to include the in-store operations team, e-commerce team, order management, inventory management, user experience, app, All of these teams need to be there to be able to coordinate and really deliver, a great seamless experience. The next piece is identifying the key systems, right? It's hard to make this work without the right tools. So you need to have the right consumer apps, the right e-commerce integrations, the right inventory management system, the right messaging and location providers, wink, wink, to make sure that all of this comes together. And then the last piece is really how you plan to measure the ROI. Anything worth doing is worth measuring. So how will you measure the success of your program internally? And be able to report that up so that you can show the efficacy of the program. And so I'll kick it to Jennie for our next one, which is kind of going into some of the messaging components and understanding how to communicate with consumers.
Yeah, so it looks like we heard in our poll that communication can be a challenge. So let's dig into that and talk some more. You've made your business case and you're ready to start thinking about that communication with the customers. This involves not only the channels you'll use, but also understanding the touch points of what messages you want to send. So here's an example. Are there things that customers need to know before they arrive on site? Or are there also things that they need to know or do once they do arrive on site, right? So you've got somebody who's, as Nick said earlier, bridging the digital and physical. And it's really important to think through that full customer experience from start to finish when you're having them do that conversion from an online interaction to in person. A few questions that we would typically ask in scoping something out like this would be, what are the pieces of information that you want to communicate to somebody as they're going through the process? Are there particularly ideal workflows that customer could have from an interaction perspective? Are there pieces of content that you can add to the order confirmation that would help those interactions be smoother once somebody arrives on site? And finally, what channels you have available to communicate with your customers about their purchase and pickup experience. And when you're thinking about those channels, it's also important to ask the question, are you able to identify your customers across those different channels? There are a couple of good pairings that we see when folks are using multiple channels on communications. One of them is going from email to app. As an example, there you could have an email order confirmation with a link to download the app. And then the app is going to enable those location-aware notices and details. As Ramsey described, a lot of folks don't like to dig through their email for those confirmations. So having the app that can initiate a location-aware message is going to make a smoother experience. The other pairing that we see work very well is SMS to wallet. So an SMS order confirmation with a link to a wallet pass. So yeah, a lot of things to do there, but I think that think about looking at the individual steps of the process and not having to go out with the full experience ready at day one. Ramsey, let's talk about what building that experience looks like.
Definitely. So we've gone through all the effort of putting the right team together. We know how we're going to talk to our consumers, and now they've arrived at our store. So now what? So I think this is the one that I think they got the most responses for challenges, and I definitely agree with that. How will you ensure that your users have a great experience once they arrive, right? Some places we've seen brands really doing innovative things and doing it very well is having in-store employee apps. Those applications can be used for the pick management and order management, as well as we showed earlier, the concept of having a live chat with your consumer, with the in-store associate can reduce some of that friction and some of that wait experience that the user has. Nick, I'd like to bring you in to kind of talk through some of the things that you've seen, especially as you've been helping brands move to a more location-aware solution.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw last year a lot of brands rush to get a V1 out the door of curbside or BOPIS experience, which is obviously understandable. But that brought with a lot of pain points. Customers being confused about where to go when they arrive on premise. Do I go inside the store? Do I pull into a parking space? Maybe missing some physical signage. That can lead to long wait times or confusion. Just sort of a tough experience. And we've started to see a lot of folks invest in a V2 curbside or BOPIS experience that is location enabled, It's digital enabled, just a really seamless experience with messaging and kind of clear instructions, both for consumers and for in-store staff, all along the way. And that has paid dividends in the form of increased engagement, repeat usage, and improved operational efficiencies, which we'll talk about in another slide or two.
Awesome. So now the user has picked up their item, they've taken it home and either consumed their lovely food or started using the item that they retrieved. What's next, right? So this kind of follow-on experience is really important from a brand perspective. So time of in the moment surveys, of getting feedback from users. We'll talk about measurement in a moment, but a lot of measurement and a lot of the ways that brands think about measurement is really quantitative. Qualitative is important as well, right? How did your user feel that experience was? And using tools like SMS or email-driven surveys or in-app surveys is a really good way to kind of bridge that connection, right? Speaking to the user and the communication methods that they use through the whole experience, and being able to kind of close that loop of, hey, how would you say that experience was? Was it good? Was it bad? The next piece is really add-on purchases, right? People who buy things buy things. So if your consumer is, purchasing things from you for pickup, they'll probably continue to do that if they have a good experience. So using the post-purchase messaging to drive add-on purchases, repeat purchases, continued good experience with the brand is a really good idea, and something that we've seen a lot of our brands that we work with focusing on recently. Then last and kind of the one that I think gets missed the most is this follow-up messaging. Add-on purchases is also follow-up messaging, but it's kind of a focused area. But if you're a brand that sells goods that consumers are going to have to put together or implement or hook up to a computer, giving them instructions on how to do that as part of the messaging is a good idea as well. That way they don't have to fumble around looking for a manual that might have accidentally got thrown in the trash. You can send them the notification that has the information in it, like a nice PDF format that they can read. For those restaurant brands, reheating and prep details, right? Every time I see somebody throw a leftover piece of pizza in a microwave, I quietly weep, because there's a much better way to reheat that, right? So giving your users reheating instructions or prep instructions and how best to consume that will continue that really great experience they have with your brand. And this is a really good time to talk to users about a loyalty program if you have one, because again, they've gone through the whole experience. They've hopefully had a really great experience. And as being part of a loyalty program tends to drive that repeat purchasing. And so this is a really good time to continue that conversation with your users. So now we'll talk about measurement and ultimately how you actually gauge the results of a buy online pickup in store experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, measurement in any program is key, but I think it's something that is as operationally complex as this bridge of digital and physical. Really, we want to have that in place. And when we look at measurement, we really typically focus on two key areas. First off is customer engagement, and secondly are operational metrics. From an engagement perspective, we definitely like to incorporate all the existing methods of measurement that are in your programs today. For example, your customer satisfaction surveys, like the example that we just looked at, repeat purchase behavior, average order value, or even your loyalty signups. You can then layer things in from an in-store pickup perspective, like adding in a satisfaction survey after the pickup process. This is going to allow you to gauge the feedback from customers in a closer to real-time manner. So you want it to be closer to the time of their pickup experience. Nick, I know your team uses a ton of operational metrics, so I'm curious to hear more about that.
Yeah, we think a lot about operational metrics as well. A couple common examples are wait times. How long is a customer waiting from the time they arrive at your store or your restaurant until they have their order in hand. Order quality and order prep timing. Are you triggering order preparation at the exact right time based on the customer's location so that they get their order on time? If it's food, it's hot and fresh. And also staff efficiency. And there's sort of a virtuous cycle here. Obviously, if you excel at the operational side and it's a seamless experience, then customers are more engaged, they're more likely to repeat. And we're also seeing that some of the smartest brands are pairing a BOPIS or curbside experience with a great loyalty program. And I think it's important to work with partners who understand both the operational side and the engagement side and can help you build a seamless experience across both.
Yeah, it actually, I mean, Nick, it feels like there's a little algebra here, right? Where we would take the pieces of the engagement and operations, and it all results in that customer satisfaction.
Yep, that's right.
All right. So, moving into some takeaways for today before we head into Q&A. Again, throw your questions in the chat if you have them, so we can spend some time talking at the end of the webinar. As we think through the takeaways, one of the things we know for sure is that order ahead is here to stay. It's going to be a part of our behaviors moving forward. We know that creating a great experience for in-store pickup requires improving both operational and engagement strategies. The two go absolutely hand in hand. Personalization is key. We have to use relevant messaging to customers to get them to stay engaged. We also know that not a lot of folks delete those wallet passes, so there's an opportunity for future promotions using location and content updates. And finally, brands need to build their mobile strategy with the right partners to make sure that we're creating really winning experiences. Having great partners means you're better together, especially when you work with partners who understand the strategy. So we'll move now into our final poll, finding out how we can help you, and how would you like us to get in touch with you. So fill in that poll. Once you get done with that, hop over to the questions panel and throw your questions in for Q&A.
So I can lead with the first question because I really like this one. So for Jennie, with things in the US starting to reopen, is it too late to implement a buy online, pickup in store program? And will my guests still see value in it?
Oh, no, definitely not too late. I think that it's only just going to become more a part of life, and as folks are more transient in their day-to-day lives again, I think that now that they're used to it as part of their routines, we can actually kind of catch folks on their commute times. So I would hope that it increases.
Yeah, I can also chime in and say, if you've implemented a V1 and you're experiencing some of the pain points that we've talked about around, bridging the digital and physical, delivering a really seamless experience across digital and physical, we see a lot of the best brands investing in a V2 that's even better, that seamlessly integrates with loyalty features and payment features. So certainly a lot of opportunity to expand on any existing foundations as well.
Nick, getting a question in from the group here. Do folks need to include location in their V1 for the in-store pickup?
We certainly recommend it. Obviously, we're a little bit biased, but I think we've seen a lot of pain points around, just relying on physical signage, or customers needing to, hunt down a phone number and call when they arrive, or, sort of have doubts about, hey, do I go in store? Do I park in this space? So maybe not strictly required, but just based on some of the pain points that we've seen with non-location enabled solutions, there's a ton of benefit to including location in a V1, and obviously working with a very developer friendly, easy to implement location platform makes it not that huge of a lift to integrate location into the experience either.
Awesome. And actually, here's another technical question coming in, Ramsey and Nick, for you two guys. Do you have an open API integration? So yeah, just I guess put that in for both the Airship and the Radar side.
Oh yeah. All of our API docs are actually open and public. If you go to docs.airship.com, also known as my most visited tab in my browser. Yeah, all of our API docs are there. We have, open API integrations for our customers. We actually have what we call open APIs, which allows us to communicate with channels that aren't necessarily messaging channels. So, it's very similar to like a webhook integration where Airship can emit events to another service that you could use to trigger things like, in-store kiosks or things like that. So yes, we definitely on the Airship side have been very API friendly from the jump.
Yeah, I can chime in on the Radar side as well. Obviously, we focus a lot on the developer experience, flexible APIs and SDKs to integrate, turnkey integrations with Airship. We also strive to make it easy to implement and reach time to value quickly, kind of regardless of whether you want to go the developer tools focused route where you're integrating our SDK and our APIs into your app. And also providing turnkey out of the box apps. We have mentioned earlier in the presentation a turnkey app that can be installed on iOS or Android devices in store. We're also working on turnkey consumer facing experiences as well. So happy to, if there's anybody in the audience that's interested in that, happy to chat with you about that. And so really just making it easy to integrate. And I think the best tools, the best platforms, like Radar, like Airship, focus a lot on developer experience, flexible integrations. So something that's very important to us on the Radar side as well.
Yeah, it's great, and this is good. I'm glad both of you guys are here because we're getting a lot of interesting questions about the development process. One more for the both of you actually. Can you talk about the general level of dev work that's needed to integrate an existing in-store pickup process versus building out a totally new process from the ground up?
That's a fun one. I think it depends on how the existing solution is built. Obviously, because we have those robust APIs, integrating with Airship is pretty straightforward. And especially if you have Airship and Radar, like we talk to each other on your behalf. So there's a lot of things that you don't have to necessarily implement between us. We can actually manage a lot of those location events as triggering events in Airship and so on and so forth. As far as like building from the ground up versus integrating into an existing solution, I think that's really going to come down to the other operational technologies that are in place, right? Is your inventory management system fast enough to be able to trigger events to let your in-store team know that they need to go pick an item? Is the in-store experience what you want for your users, or is it something that needs to be retooled, from the beginning? Those are kind of the things that we tend to think about when working with customers who are implementing Airship into an existing BOPIS solution, as well as customers who are building it from the ground up, right? These are all things that you want to be thinking about from the beginning. But yeah, I think it really comes down to what's in place today and how easy is it to adapt what's in place today to new providers, generally done via API and SDK integrations. And Nick, I don't know if you have anything to add there, but that's, I think, probably very similar for Radar. It's yeah, we can totally build on top of what you already got. It's just a question of what do you have and how can we integrate?
Yeah, I think that's right, Ramsey. I mean, I think you covered it already. Again, we're really focused on both, for developers, super flexible, developer friendly SDKs and APIs. For folks who want to get up and running a little bit more quickly, turnkey out of the box apps and integrations like the Airship integration. I think there's a related question about, how hard is the integration with point of service systems and other in-store systems like kitchen display systems, and the Radar team is exploring integrations there. If there are, POS, KDS providers that you work with, happy to explore what a turnkey integration might look like. Obviously, flexibility in terms of Radar being able to, route events anywhere through webhooks. In terms of, you being able to call Radar APIs from any dashboard, any system. Even sort of custom, in-store systems or point of sale systems that retailers or restaurants use. So I think in general, and again, as Ramsey said, this is true of both Radar and Airship. Whether you're a developer looking to integrate a totally custom solution, or you're looking for a lot of turnkey out of the box functionality to get started quickly, we can support on both.
Yeah, so kind of thinking through on the location, there's a question about background permissions. So does the location-enabled messaging require the background location permissions on the device?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a lot of different options here. You know, a lot of us have used, I'm sure, you know, Google Maps navigation or Apple Maps navigation. We're used to seeing that, you know, flashing blue bar at the top of an iOS device. You can do that with BOPIS experiences as well. You know, that only requires the foreground location permission. Obviously, any, you know, in-app experience, on-premise experience that is powered by location, you know, assuming it's in-app and the app is foregrounded, that only requires foreground permissions as well. And again, we've seen retailers and restaurants, you know, surface payment features, surface loyalty features, surface in-store offers automatically as a really seamless experience just with foreground permissions. If the user has granted background location permissions, you can also do you know, smarter messaging, location triggered messaging when a user walks into a store, walks into a mall, walks into a restaurant. Obviously, the bar has been getting higher and higher to request background location permissions, but a lot of brands sort of start with a foreground location permission request when they've earned the user's trust and engagement, you know, then sort of subsequently prompt for background permission. So the short answer is no. You can do a lot with just foreground permissions, but obviously, if you've earned the user's trust, if you're using privacy-friendly tools, you can request background permissions and enhance the experience even further.
Yeah, I would say, Nick, one thing that you talked about earlier that really hit home for me was this concept of you know, like real-time order prep. There's few things sadder than whenever you get to your restaurant to pick up your item and it's cold and soggy. So background location is something that if you sell the value to the consumer, it could be, you know, something that allows them to not have that experience. Although you could do that in the foreground too, but definitely as a consumer, I would love to be able to tell a brand how far away I am so that they can make my order so that I get there and it's nice and hot and ready to go.
Absolutely. I mean, I think gone are the days of, you know, being able to just get location permissions without delivering any value to the end user. You know, we're now in a place, and this is great for end users. It's at the end of the day great for app developers as well, where, you know, you need to deliver value with location in order for the user to grant permissions. And you know, location-enabled functionality, like a location-enabled pickup experience, like a store locator, you know, like on-premise app experiences are a great way to convince users to grant location permissions and ultimately just deliver an awesome experience for them. So it's a win-win if you think about it that way.
So I think the question for everybody here, what do you think is the most exciting order ahead or in-store pickup opportunity going forward?
Yeah, I'm happy to start on the radar side. I think two things that we see developing that are really exciting. One I mentioned earlier, which is sort of pairing a BOPIS or a curbside experience with a loyalty program. And so thinking about, you know, not just the operational aspects of order ahead in BOPIS, but also the engagement side and what a great holistic experience can look like. And you know, obviously we're biased, but Radar can help with both sides of the coin. I think the second is, you know, we've started to you know, see retailers and QSRs see success with really seamless, convenient order ahead experiences, and start to rethink store formats. You know, a lot of leading QSR brands are investing in new store formats, investing in drive-through that's really focused on mobile order ahead. You know, retailers thinking about this as well. So even if the sort of implementation specifics of curbside or BOPIS may change post-COVID, I think mobile order ahead is here to stay. And you know, seeing brands invest in you know, complementary loyalty experiences or new store formats is really exciting. And I think something that's going to play out over the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
For me, I agree with all of those, Nick, for sure. I think for me, it's the potential of adding in the live chat process as part of the location enabled experience. So I think that, folks are really hungry for interaction at this point in the pandemic, and having this bridge of technology and interpersonal interaction where we have the location enabled messaging then kick off that live chat, like what Ramsey described in the video. We're really fulfilling a blend of functional and social emotional consumer need. So to me, that's a really exciting opportunity, like from a CX perspective.
y'all took all the good ones. No, I think one thing I'm excited about is expanding outside of retail and restaurant, right? Like I think there's a lot of open field for brands that are in the service industry or telehealth or banking to start delivering these kind of real-time experiences to users. So it'll be interesting to see how this concept of buy online transitions into spaces that don't necessarily have things that you buy physically, but maybe services that are delivered. So
Yeah, Ramsey, I think it's something that we've seen a lot as well, and I think starting to see hotels, amusement parks, airlines think about kind of analogous experiences in the context of travel, right? How can your hotel check-in happen automatically when you arrive? How can the staff start prepping when you're 5 minutes away? How can we enable more contactless, safe experiences at airports, for example? So I think all of the same kind of operational and engagement considerations apply to those industries as well. And I think a lot of the habits that we've seen established in retail and QSR are going to translate to really innovative experiences in other industries as well. It's a great point.
Yeah, I think the hospitality option, Nick, is a really super exciting one, right? Like talk about a just gold mine of opportunity for integrating with a loyalty program, right? All the hospitality loyalty programs know quite a ton about their users, right? Their members. So there's a lot of potential opportunity there for sure. So I think we have time for one last question, and I actually saved this one for last. So the question is, does your firm sell the buy online pickup in store technology? So yes, we do. I think Nick, I'll let you answer first for Radar about the details there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we obviously power the location tracking, the trip tracking components that we talked about. The in-store dashboards that show orders in progress for a given store or a given restaurant. And for the engagement piece, we have a really seamless turnkey integration with Airship. So absolutely, if you're interested in this, we would love to talk to you. You can visit our website at radar.io and also reach out to our team. We would love to chat.
Yeah, and I'd say the same thing on the Airship side. We're a software as a service and solution as a service company. So we're really focused on bringing these things to fruition with our customers. The whole idea of delivering that great experience, my team in particular, being on the technical implementation side of it, we take it very seriously. We're some of your customers, so we definitely want to have a good experience when it comes to picking things up, from buy online pickup in store experiences. So yeah, I would say the same thing Nick said, like, please reach out, let us know if you have questions, let us know if there's things that we can help with. As a brand, we're very excited to see this, kind of grow into the next phase of consumer experience.
Fantastic. Well, Ramsey and Nick, it's so fun to get together with you guys. Always good to chat. Always love to chat about a good omni-channel experience. So, fun to be here with you guys today. And thank you so much to everyone in the audience for joining us. We enjoyed talking to you today and hearing your questions. Please do reach out. We're happy to discuss it more if you have questions, and hope everybody has a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.